Hey guys, Missing Pixel here. Welcome to a pretty interesting video. I've got some retro gaming magazines that I want to take a look at today. Starting off with Computer Gaming World from February 1996. Now, I looked at some of these magazines before, about a year ago. However, the audio was unbearable. It was so echoey and so noisy, you really couldn't hear what I'm saying. Hopefully it's been long enough that I can look at this with a fresh pair of eyes. Starting off with something I do remember, which is a Duke Nukem 3D full-page advertisement. How flipping cool is that? Unfortunately, it's a bit ripped. That's my own fault and I'm an idiot. I tried to scan these in, and by the way, for some of these advertisements, I'll have the link in the description where you can go and check these out in full resolution. I scanned these at ridiculous sizes, but unfortunately I ripped the page a little bit. But yeah, man, it's for me, because you know, I'm 24, like I never grew up with Duke Nukem 3D. This is way before I was born, 4 years before I was born. So this is just like a game that I associate with like LGR and classic game reviewers. So just seeing it in person, like, oh my God, this game was actually being advertised, like this was a big deal. This isn't just like a YouTube thing, like front page, you know, first thing you see. Now, something that I've noticed with both the 1996 magazines that I've got is the fact that VR is a big thing. Now, of course, we know in hindsight that this never took off in the 90s. Like, it was a big thing. I think I was watching Computer Chronicles, I think it was, and they had like a whole segment on VR. We were talking about 10 FPS video at most. That's really low resolution. But I think because the technology was developing, people were throwing it out there like, yep, this is something that we can do. Here's an advert for a game called Psychic Detective, which I've not heard of, but it's old enough that the 3DO is still being advertised, because a lot of the games that came out on it were from Electronic Arts. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think the 3DO company was established by the CEO of EA. So a lot of games came out on the 3DO first, and then the 3DO never really took off. So EA started to look into developing for the PlayStation. PlayStation 1 came out, so Electronic Arts was like, we'll just release it on both platforms. The only game for Windows 95. There was no other games, guys, not even Doom. Oh, look at that. The old Take-Two Interactive logo. Wow, how interesting is that? It's, oh my God, the email was at AOL. Crazy. Because everyone talks about World of Warcraft, a modern game that people play. It's kind of crazy seeing like, oh yeah, this has been around for a very long time. I remember, I've seen that logo before. I can't remember what game it was from. I'll have to look it up while I'm editing this video. Man, everything went in the 90s. Yep, we're gonna make a game, and it's just games you can play in person, but on your CRT. Amazing. I do love that old Time Warner Interactive logo. It's very 90s. It's old enough that Epic Games was Epic Mega Games. Epic's official FTP site in the MS-DOS/game/Epic directory. And of course, BBS, yeah. I don't really know what CompuServe was. This is interesting. I do remember this from last time I looked at this magazine. 3D art gets faster and cheaper. Soft images, NT tools offer affordable performance for making CGI on your Pentium-based computer. And it even talks about, you know, you don't have to use expensive silicon graphics machines. Just need a computer that runs Windows NT. The old logo. Everything you aspire to. Is this an Acer Aspire? It is. Let's give this a quick read, shall we? My Acer Aspire desktop helps me stay active. I use it to keep aspire to do more. Oh, right. I'm not supposed to read that. Why is that there? Sorry. I use it to keep up with my old friends as well as make new ones. For instance, I can get into online chat groups using its powerful 28.8 kilobits per second fax modem, which isn't even the fastest dial-up speed. Maybe it was at the time. Teleconference with its integrated speakerphone, and play the latest multimedia games using its 5-speed CD-ROM drive. Now that's pretty impressive. Aura Sound 3D, stereo speakers, and accelerated graphics. Aspire is as easy to use as it's powerful. I set it up in less than 5 minutes, and it came preloaded with 50 software and reference titles. It's literally advertising bloatware. It came with so much software that this 20GB hard drive, or whatever it is, it was completely filled. Ace, the Acer Computer Explorer, organizes all my software so I can find whatever I want with a simple point and click. And with Windows 95 and an Intel Pentium processor and 16 megabytes of memory, Aspire has the power to help me manage my retirement plan myself. Oh Jesus. with Aspire, I get around better than I ever did. Yeah, weird ad. Especially in a computer gaming magazine. Guess this is for the dads that were reading it. Well, the grandpas that were reading it. So for this, I actually had to pause the video and look at an old LGR video because I forgot what a 3D Blaster was. I remember seeing his video, I forgot what it was. Now, something I completely forgot about until watching Clint's video is the fact that 1995, 1996, there wasn't really an established 3D accelerator market, you know what graphics cards used to be called. So every company was putting their foot out the door to try to make one. Obviously Creative, they're the guys that made Sound Blasters. Now that was the most popular sound card for PCs back then. Pretty much every game had compatibility for it. 3D accelerators, you know, there wasn't no DirectX, no Vulkan. Everyone had their own standards and everyone was competing to be the first one to get their card out and for their standard to be the standard. 3D Blaster ultimately did not succeed. It was very expensive. It was like $350, I think. And while it did support DirectX later on and stuff like that, yeah, not many people bought this. And this sort of just became a done and dusted thing, like many graphics cards of the time. Really, 3DFX was the one that won the graphics card race in the 90s. This is essentially a Sega Saturn GPU inside of a consumer 3D accelerator. Not quite. It's an NVIDIA NV1 powering this thing. And it did have really impressive specs at the time. We're talking resolutions up to 1200p, support up to 1 billion colors, vertical refresh rates of up to 120 Hz. I mean, it won't be at the same time as 1200p, but I mean, probably 640 by 480 at 120 Hz, you know? PCI bus as well. The 3D Blaster wasn't PCI. And of course, it came bundled, or some of the packages came bundled with a Sega Saturn controller. Here it actually does say it's purchased separately, but on the back of the card, you indeed had ports for the Sega Saturn controllers, which is crazy. And of course, being a Sega PC graphics card with a Sega Saturn GPU, and not quite again NVIDIA chip, but whatever, they did have quite a lot of Sega titles on there. We can see Virtua Fighter Remix being advertised, but also Panzer Dragoon was a really impressive title. But yeah, look at all of these stars as well. That looks interesting. Virtual cards. You know, the classic taking a picture of a building and making it a texture. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, interesting. The sequel to Seventh Guest, The 11th Hour. I've not heard of that one before. I've heard of Seventh Guest. EA.com/origin. Oh my god, they predicted it. If anyone's interested in SCSI, which I'm really not, it sounded like a pain in the backside to have to think about that stuff back then. I'm from the IDE and SATA days. Look at this, head-on talk while playing modern games. Amazing! What? Wow. Yeah, I don't know, I shouldn't be cynical, because again, this is like 1996. Being able to talk while playing online games, that wasn't really a thing until the original Xbox with Xbox Live. I imagine this just like split your dial-up connection or something, or like half the connection to the telephone, like to the actual telephone line. Yeah, this is what I was saying, virtual chess, like, it was just a wild west of, yeah, you know what, we'll make chess, but we'll do it for your computer. It's like, well, you can just buy a chessboard, what's the point? Oh look, our favourite game developers, Titus, from Superman 64. Yeah, I bet this chess game was great then. Oh, we even have a savings voucher. I'm not even gonna make that joke about what would happen if I mailed it in. Nothing. Nothing. This magazine doesn't exist anymore. Wow, look at that. Netscape Navigator. Wow, unlimited usage for $20 a month, which I think was the same as this one. Yep. And you actually get a free 2 megabyte web homepage, which is pretty cool. I mean, I like that back in the day. Like, yes, everyone wanted to make their own homepage, anyone that was a bit techie and nerdy. And the ISP just gave you access to make it. Go ahead, just learn some HTML. Now it's like, yes, pay us £50+ a year for a server. And then you have to pay for your domain name. And then you have to pay for your SSL certificate. And then you have to pay for WordPress. And then you have to pay for all the add-ons that you need for WordPress to make it usable. Whoa, what's this? I forgot about this actually, I do remember this now. The most lifelike virtual woman yet has full motion video, ability to converse, and more adult and G-rated versions. Is this just like the AI girlfriend trend that we've got going on now? This is another sort of free page spread. Ooh, full tilt pinball. Heck yeah. Of course, I don't think I even need to explain it, but the pinball game in Windows 95 Plus onwards up until Windows Vista, that was from this. 3D Space Cadet. You can even see 3D Space Cadet there. Of course, in Full Tilt Pinball, it wasn't called that. It had a slightly different name. That name was just made for Microsoft. Yep. It's basically the butt kicker before the butt kicker. All those seats that the cool kids had, that had like the speakers and like a subwoofer under the seat. So like it would feel like immersive and 3D. Like you just feel the vibrations in your bottom. Look at that, another racing game. Another one I've not heard of before. Wow, actual IBM screenshots shown. Yeah, I can believe that. This looks fun. Not quite a VR headset, but kind of the same thing. To be fair, this works a bit better, I suppose. Maybe not in the 90s with how low resolution and how just smeary and horrible LCD screens were, but yeah, I imagine this is just two screens in front of each of your eyeballs, pretty up close, and it's creating a 3D effect, kind of. Ooh, what is this? Good old FMV games. And grab this advert for anyone interested. Wow, Philips published a lot of PC games. A JVC game. Yeah, everyone was just publishing at that time. Screw it, why not? APC, they're still very well known for their UPSs. That's cool. I didn't know Yamaha made their own sound cards. I know their chips were used, but I didn't know they made their own sound cards. An advert for Dungeon Keeper, that will be interesting to someone. An advert for Descent, that will also make someone happy. An advert for Microsoft Golf, yeah, that makes me happy, just because of the old Microsoft tagline. Where do you want to go today? It's such an iconic tagline. I'm able to say without even looking at it. Oh my god. Get fully interactive with RomSoft's hot adult 6-pack. Double Down, Doors of Passion 2, Sensual Girls in 3D, Massive Melons. Touch Me, Feel Me and private screenings are what you'll get in this sexy 6-pack. That's a lot of S's, that's a good sibilance. What are you doing here? The free Tempest 2000 demo disc is back at the front of the magazine. Okay, so it did come with a demo disc. Tempest 2000. Incredible soundtrack. I have downloaded the Jaguar version and I've actually just burnt the CD only so I can just put it into my hi-fi and just listen to the soundtrack because it kicks ass, it's great. And here is an EA ad for Need for Speed and Fade to Black. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of this magazine. I missed one thing, which was You Don't Know Jack, but I can't bother to look for it again. But yeah, that was a thing. Pretty cool. Obviously that's turned into Jackbox now. Let's look at PC Gamer from 2006.